So we moved into this house in 2017, and 2018, spring of 2018, I'd wanted chickens for a while. I wanted chickens at our old house, but we had an HOA, couldn't do it. And I said, I will never live with another HOA. An HOA, I'm going to make somebody mad here, but an HOA.
I love making people mad.
An HOA is for the person that doesn't have enough government in their life.
There you go. You did it.
So I was like, I will never live in an HOA again. So we moved here, and I was like, first thing that we did is I was like, we're getting chickens. And so we got 6 chickens, 6 hens, and I learned very quickly the hard way that you have to protect those because chickens are like the bottom of the pecking of the food chain. Anything and everything will eat and kill a chicken. And so I lost 4 of those 6 chickens, like that.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy, out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana, left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started farm hop life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and there will be.
This is the Farm Hop Life podcast, the Traveling Homestead Family. I'm Matt DeRocher. Today my guest is Jeremy, a.k.a. Dewey Like Donuts. I might call you Dewey throughout the interview on accident. Jeremy, his wife, and his son live in suburban Alabama and raise chicken for eggs, garden, and try to be as self-sufficient as we can. We believe in being prepared for the craziness this world throws at us and embrace the label of preppers. I like that. I do like your prepping videos on TikTok.
I appreciate that. Those get a lot of views typically.
Yeah, because I don't see that a lot on TikTok, the prepping videos.
It's interesting. It's
funny. I was showing my wife some last night. I'm like, look at this internet in a bag or what? Internet in a box.
Internet,
and in the Faraday.
And the hate on that video. The hate. That's not the internet. That's not the internet. You don't know. It's just the software. It's the name of the software. I didn't write the software. I just downloaded it. It's called Internet in a Box. Like it's made, and it's brilliant. I can't take credit for it. I just used it. But
yeah.
It was developed to take to third world countries that were very remote and didn't have internet, and they could load all of this content onto this Raspberry Pi and take it, and they set it up, plug it in, and it emits its own Wi-Fi signal, and all these devices can connect to it and access information. It was made for school education.
Sure.
I just took it and repurposed it for stuff, knowledge.
Yeah. The fact, like the people that make those kind of comments, and it's not just like that specific type, it's like that entire type of people that like that's not internet, like, or whatever. They have like that video's not for them. Like they can basically just like not like be gone essentially. Like you're missing the point essentially. If you want the entire internet in a box,
you don't understand the internet.
not really. I mean, do you want the whole internet in a box? That would be awful. There's so much trash out there. Are you kidding?
Absolutely. Well, and then the people that are like, well, where does it get its Wi-Fi signal from? Or if Wi-Fi doesn't work, it's not going to work. Yes, it will work. It is the Wi-Fi signal. Like it's just a signal. It's 2.5 gigahertz, 5 megahertz, whatever. It's
yeah.
It's just it's a signal. It's a radio signal. That's all it is.
Maybe if they actually built one, they'd understand it better.
I know. Well, and then I had some people, they're like, oh, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to buy that. And I'm like, just be careful. Understand what you're getting into. It is very technical.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a pretty technical thing to try to set it up. I mean, it's the software like you did.
Because I have a Raspberry Pi, and I've like put like Linux on it or whatever kind of distro.
Okay. You'd be fine. Yeah, it's the people that think that, oh, if I just go download something and then I just turn it on and it works. Well, no, it's a little more complicated than that.
It'd be the equivalent of like putting a new like ROM on your like phone, or if you remember like
Jailbreaking.
jailbreaking your iPhone, or not your your
Every year
iPhone
I
and your iPod Touch.
jailbreak mine every year. Yep.
Yep. So
Or like putting a new software on your router or something like that. It's the equivalent of something like that. And
sure.
if you can do that, then you can absolutely build one. They're not hard, but if you're not tech savvy, I would not. No, I don't want those comments. I bought this and now I can't get it installed. I'm like, I just told you about it.
Look, I'm not tech support. There's probably like 100 videos on YouTube to figure that out on your own.
Sadly, there's not on that one though. There's not.
Really?
There's really not. I know. Like it, I had to figure a lot of it out, but it's filled with information, and I update it every now and then, and it stays in a Faraday bag in the safe. And if it ever gets that bad, then it's there, and if not, then well, it's just there. It was a fun project.
Yeah. Do you? Okay, since we're kind of talking about prepping and stuff, and
which is where my homesteading came from. I will say that. So there is a good segue here at some
okay,
point.
cool.
Go ahead.
There's a lot of S talk, let's say, about people that are concerned about like EMPs, solar flares, coronal mass injections, like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That, you know, you really like that on the like list of concerns, that's towards the bottom in terms of like, you know, actual reality. Yeah. So like, right. where do you fall? Like a Faraday bag's pretty cheap. Like it's cheap insurance, and like if it happens, whatever. If it doesn't happen, whatever.
Yeah, that's a good question. So there's a guy that I follow on YouTube called Suspicious Observers.
Okay.
Ben Davidson, maybe, I think is his name. And he has a very interesting background. I'm not even going to try to explain his background because I would butcher it, but he's a very smart person. And he puts out daily videos on the sun and what it's doing, and sunspots and solar flares. And if you watch it day in and day out, you're going to overhype it, I think. You know, if you pay attention to all these things, you're going to start. It's like the people that follow all the conspiracies. You start following the conspiracies, and then all of a sudden you think, oh, it's got to be real. Well, maybe it's just a conspiracy. Like the more you follow it, the more you start to believe it. So you have to be careful there.
Mm-hmm.
The EMP thing. I mean, if you know our friends on the other side of the world were to detonate a high level EMP or a high level nuclear bomb, there's the book 1 Second After. That's a very real scenario that could happen. Will it happen? I would like to think not. Can it happen? Sure. Right. I think you know World War III could trigger something. You know, could be triggered by some of that. I don't know that will happen. The CME thing, that's the one that actually does probably concern me more than the EMP, and
because it's random.
It is random, but it's not. That's the thing, is it's not random because the sun goes in cycles, and I'm not some
like astrophysicist.
Yeah. Like I don't know, but I listen to enough of this stuff and I go, well, that makes sense. And if you start kind of looking at some of the data, surface level data, it makes sense that the sun goes in cycles, 12-year cycles, active cycle, not very active, not very active. And we are coming up, and the guy Ben that I mentioned, he was saying, you know, months ago that the sun's cycle is going on a 5.9 month rotation. Basically, he was saying mid-August, we're going to be hit by a bunch of solar flares, solar storms, CMEs, all. Well, the last 2 weeks we've been getting hit by them. And I'm like, well, maybe the guy knows something. So now, will it knock our grid out? I have no idea. If it does, well, I hope everybody knows how to homestead.
It seems like it's making a comeback, and that's very encouraging. I like that.
It is. Well, and if you think about it, I've got a video that I'm putting together for TikTok to go out in the next few days about making apple cider vinegar. Like you can make your own apple cider vinegar. And in the start of the video, I say like generations ago, everybody was a prepper. Everybody grew their own food. They stored their own food. And now we rely on the grocery store, the big corporations and the grocery stores for convenience. But everybody, our ancestors, our great grandparents were all preppers. I mean, they might have been labeled a prepper,
Right?
but in the sense of things, they were. They grew their food, they preserved their food, they ate it through the winter, and they rinsed and repeated. So I'm
I've
glad
had this exact same conversation about the name homesteader. Like there's a guy that I've interviewed and we stayed in contact. He's like, I don't consider myself a homesteader. This is just what like our grandparents did, and they didn't call themselves homesteaders. But like by today's standards, he's 100% a homesteader.
Right. He's just living life is what he's doing. He's staying alive.
Staying alive. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and like, so, to kind of, you asked, how did I get started with the whole homesteading? And I mentioned that it really kind of veered off from the prepping back in 2000. So we bought our first house, my wife and I, in 2007, and immediately just overnight lost, 30 grand in equity in our house. And we had a 5-year plan and turned into a 10-year plan. And I looked at the market and what everything was going on. And I thought, we really need to be prepared. Like, what if, and my wife lost her job. And like, I was a freelance graphic designer basically at that time. I didn't have a steady income, and she lost her job. And we thankfully had a little bit of savings, and we were okay. But it was the reality set in of, we're not prepared for life if we get thrown a wrench or a kink in the chain, whatever you want to call it. We're not prepared. And so we started buying, once we kind of got settled, she got a new job, instead of buying 1 can of beans, we'd buy 2 cans of beans instead of, and we would stack on that and basically kind of create your own grocery store in your house.
Yeah.
And rotate through things, buy the things that you already eat. Don't go buy, 200 pounds of rice and beans. I mean, sure, I guess, we've got that, but like that's the oh crap food. But
yeah,
but I say that, but one day we were like, we're out of rice. And I'm like, no, we're not. We'll be right back. We've got rice in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers, and it's dated, and I'll go get some, and then I'll just replenish it.
Sure.
But buy things that you normally eat. So that's what we started doing. But then one day it dawned on me, this isn't sustainable. Like, what if just grid down, financial collapse, who knows what could happen?
Empty shelves?
Yeah, it's unlikely, but not impossible. Having MREs and ammo is not sustainable. I mean, what am I going to go take it from my neighbor? I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
I couldn't live with myself. And so that hit me like, this is not sustainable at all. So maybe we should start trying to grow our own food. And I started with 3 tomato plants. The biggest failure. I got 1 tomato out of those 3 tomato plants.
But you did get 1. I bet it tasted so sweet.
Unfortunately, I don't think it did. It was one of those, like, I was so disappointed. And I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. And it was a mistake. I mean, it wasn't a mistake, because it's led me to where I'm at now. But it was still like, man, that was a failure. We lived in tract homes in a cul-de-sac, and at the back of the property, backyard, they had like a berm around the back where they would kind of burned up. They come in and they just scrape all the topsoil off, and you're sitting on clay. And so I planted those tomatoes on top of a hill in clay with no irrigation, and like they just like terrible soil. But
now you know.
Now I know. But that was really kind of where we got started, was knowing that just having 6 months of food isn't sustainable. It helps in a catastrophe or an emergency situation, but it's not sustainable. So that's where we got that start.
That's kind of cool. That's a pretty cool start. And I forgot what I was going to say, but that's all right.
Well, yeah. Well, but like, so I mean, like, that's part of the motivation for homesteading is being able to prep. I mean, being self-sufficient.
Like I can see canning jars behind you, so.
Yeah, I don't know how much you can see of the because this kind of squishes things up a little bit, but there's a few.
Nice.
And now here's the thing though. Here's the thing. We didn't start canning until this year. And I've wanted to for years, but I was intimidated by it.
Sure.
And I finally just broke down and said, we have to learn it. Have to learn it. And so this year is fix this back. So this year was the first year that we canned. I went out and bought the All-American, like the Big Daddy canner, and I was like, we're going all in.
Big Daddy canner.
And it's so heavy. it's heavy, but it's so good. It's such an amazing canner.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, to be able to preserve our own food, to offset a potential shortage of food or a job loss, it all stems from wanting to be prepared. So that really kind of falls right in line with homesteading and prepping. It's all one thing.
Yeah. When did you say what year you started getting prepared? Like when did that start?
Yeah. So I really didn't. So 07 bought our house. The 08 market kind of did its thing, and we started probably about 2009 going, hey, we need to be prepared. Wife had another job. Things were stable-ish. We ended up buying a bunch of silver at the time. I mean, not a bunch, but some, trying to think like we're going to, it's going to collapse. And it didn't collapse, but we still have that silver. It's a long-term investment.
Of course. And, same.
We bought what's that?
I just said same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and when it was, I don't know if you saw, it was like $13 or $14 an ounce earlier this year.
Nope, I must have missed that. I was too busy looking at Bitcoin.
We're going to buy it. We're going to buy that because it's not going to be any cheaper than that.
Probably not.
Bitcoin, that's a fun one. Whew,
we can talk about that later if you want.
You can make a lot of money, but you can lose a lot of money there too. I've seen a lot of people lose a lot of money. A lot of money.
You can't lose it if you don't sell it.
That's the thing, is they sold it and they lost it.
See? Shouldn't have done
that. My problem is that I would want to buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high, and I would miss it every single time.
See, I've tried to play that game, and it only ruined me. I didn't like lose tons of money or whatever. It's just that I ended up losing money. So since then, I've only bought and hold.
Yeah. Hodl.
So hodl. So. But yeah. So that's how you got started into homesteading. That's pretty cool. That yeah. I mean that seems like a very like reasonable transition. It wasn't like I got super scared watching Alex Jones or whatever, and like the globalists are gonna come get me. And so
on Alex Jones. Alex. Look, I mean, I'm not saying that he's always wrong, but he's also not always right. There's he can be a little much sometimes.
Dude, you know what? If he didn't have the voice that he has, I could probably tolerate him a little bit more. His voice is just so awful to listen to that I just I can't do it.
It's a bit much, and then some of the stuff that he says, I'm like, it's a little far out there. But okay, it's your show. You can talk about whatever you want. I'll listen to what I want to, but no, we did not. We definitely did not get our start by getting freaked out by Alex Jones and going, oh, we got to sell everything and move out to the woods and build a homestead, which I'm not going to
join a commune.
I mean, it's not a terrible idea, but I've got what's her name? What's her username on TikTok? tiny homestead, tiny shed homestead, something like that. I can't remember. Dang, it's gonna drive me crazy. I can't remember what her username is, but she and her family, like they moved out. I think they bought acreage and took a 12 by 24 storage shed, and her husband like raised the roof on it, put a second level in, and they live debt free out in the woods, homeschool their kids. And I'm like, that looks like an amazing life. It really does. Like there's part of, I love being in the city. I love going out to eat. I love being close to people, but that does look appealing.
That sounds interesting. I'm gonna have to go hunt them down and see if they'd
I'll
come on the
message
podcast.
you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I'll message you. I bet you. I bet she would be a good one to interview. I'll if I don't send her info to you, remind me.
Oh, I will.
As far as like, so you had kind of asked about the motivation for like homesteading, right? I mean,
right.
So the potential lack of food. Like I see potential food shortages. You look at what's happening over in Russia and Ukraine and wheat supply. I think the U.S. will be affected last, or maybe close to last, or maybe not at least first. I mean, we're first world country. Like we should be fine for a while, but it'll hit us eventually, I think. So there's food security, providing for your family. This may sound so old school, but there's just something about, man, go out and get food and bring to family. Like there's something about like, I grew this, I made this, I caught this. I didn't go and just get it from the store. And then like the quality of it. Like there was a video that I did earlier in the summer, and I had picked a fresh cucumber straight off the vine. I was like, this cucumber, it was so good. I'm like, I never eat just raw cucumber. Like it's like I put them in a salad, or I just ate a cucumber, and it was delicious. I just needed some salt. I wish I had like some salt packets in my pocket or something. But it's so much better, and there's no chemicals. You know what's in your food.
Yeah.
So it's
now you raise chickens for eggs. Are you man enough to eat a raw egg of your own?
Negative.
Really? I did. So I've heard.
All right, let's back it.
Okay.
There's the Marty McFly. Or you calling me yellow? Kind of like you call somebody out on it eventually. Like they might do it. Like if you're not man enough to do it. So if I could probably be convinced, but it would take an awful lot.
No, it's not that bad. I actually did it last week twice.
You went back for seconds.
I did. So okay. So
I gotta hear this. Go on.
I asked I'm a lot more active on Twitter than I am my other social medias, and so I just like put out like, because I had heard a couple things that like people putting just cracking a raw egg in their coffee, and so people were like, yeah, he used to do it all the time, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I guess if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna use my own. Obviously, I haven't bought eggs in years. And so I cracked an egg in my coffee, and like whipped it up and drank it. It didn't taste like anything different, to be honest with you. I will say though.
Now, do you drink your coffee black, or do you put stuff in it normally?
It's espresso. So like just like strong. 2 shots, milk. Well, it's technically whipping cream because I like the thickness of it and the sweetness of the cream or whatever, and then like maybe like some cinnamon sugar like sprinkle on top.
Okay.
I know I'm kind of posh or whatever.
But. That's okay. No judgment free zone here. I mean, look. I like my caramel macchiatos. They're good. All right. So you put an egg in. So it wasn't just like black coffee.
It wasn't just black, but okay. I probably would do it to black coffee too, which I don't like black coffee. But so here's the thing: why I don't do that anymore. I try not to eat breakfast, basically. So like I just would have my coffee in the morning, and then I would go maybe until like 9, 10 o'clock before I actually ate something. Mm-hmm. With the protein that's now in my coffee, all of a sudden I had to eat. Like my body is like,
feed me.
You're hungry, feed me. And so like I'd have to eat something by 7 and then 8 and then 9. And so like it actually made me hungrier in the morning. So I'm like, well, I don't really like that. I'd still do the raw egg thing, no problem. I don't really care about that. It's the
Black coffee.
It's the making me hungry. Like I try to just not eat all the food before 10 a.m. So because I'm like I work construction, so I'm not like at home or nearby or at an office. Like I only have what I packed.
Right.
So I guess if I was better prepared, I'd have something in the truck. But
yeah, it's I tried the whole intermittent fasting thing for a while, and I was like, I just like to eat breakfast too much. I love breakfast, and that's really what got us started on chickens, because I would eat eggs every day. I love eggs. I'll eat them scrambled. I'll eat them fried. I'll eat them boiled. I'll eat them over easy, over hard. I mean, I put a video out the other day of this jalapeno relish that I made, and it was like I think somebody had asked, how do you eat it? I'm like, well, this is how I eat it. Fried egg over medium. It may not have been I may not have actually been a response to a video, but somebody asked a question. But it was like a fried egg over medium, some grits on top of that. Have you ever had grits?
Yeah, I don't know exactly what they are though. I know I've eaten them.
Corn, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a southern thing for sure, but it's one of those like love or hate kind of things. But fried egg over medium, grits on top of that, and then some jalapeno relish on top of that. Like that's so good, so good. But like I love breakfast. I couldn't do the intermittent fasting.
Sure.
Do it. But that's why we got chickens is because I ate so many eggs, and we ended up with it was 2007. So we moved into this house in 2017. And 2018, spring of 2018, I'd wanted chickens for a while. I wanted chickens at our old house, but we had an HOA, couldn't do it. And I said, I will never live with another HOA. An HOA, I'm going to make somebody mad here, but an HOA.
I love making people mad.
An HOA is for the person that doesn't have enough government in their life.
There you go. You did it.
So I was like, I will never live in an HOA again. So we moved here, and I was like, first thing that we did is we're getting chickens, and so we got 6 chickens, 6 hens, and I learned very quickly the hard way that you have to protect those, because chickens are like the bottom of the pecking of the food chain. Anything and everything will eat and kill a chicken, and so I lost 4 of those 6 chickens, like that. Like they had a coop and everything. Yeah, I mean, like they had my brother-in-law had some chickens for a while, and he just gave me his coop, and it was only like 4 foot by 8 foot, and it was very small, and so I felt bad for him. So I would let them out during the day. In the evening when I get home, I'd let them free range for a little bit. On the weekends, I'd let them free range, and before you knew it, something had gotten them. I'm like, well, that's not going to work.
Dang.
There's foxes, there's raccoons. I had a raccoon had a Rhode Island Red. I felt terrible for it, but a raccoon reached through the coop, grabbed its wing, and pulled its wing off.
Oh my gosh. I've heard of raccoons doing similar things, but never ripping the wing off. That's
straight up
nuts.
And we were leaving to go out of town for like 2 days, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. Do I put this chicken out of its misery, or do I see if it survives? I don't know, but chickens are resilient. That chicken lived.
Just one less chicken wing when you go to process it, I guess.
Right. I didn't have to clip that wing. But I mean, it was. But raccoons got a few of them. A dog chased some off. It was a mess, and I learned very quickly you have to protect chickens.
I think, yes, I agree. I think a lot of people can get either super unlucky or on the other end of the spectrum, dumb luck. And I am on the dumb luck spectrum. My incompetence is balanced by my dumb luck. That's how I'm. That's how I manage things right now. So I'll give you an example. Like we took on a bunch more chickens. Like we went from 16 to 36
Ooh,
this
I had a
year.
lot. Wow.
Yeah, and we haven't had any losses, and which is kind of crazy. We have fox, raccoon, mountain lion, coyote. I mean, all this stuff, but haven't had any losses. And the other dumb luck thing I've had with chickens is last year we did meat birds, and
Cornish cross.
Yep, Cornish cross. Man, they are ugly when they get big. Holy smokes!
They're so ugly.
And, like they walk around with like their giant like breasts, like they waddle, and oh god, you feel bad for them.
Like bare, like no feathers on parts of their body, and it's just
because they lay down all the time. They can barely move. So I went to 7 weeks, and then I harvested all of them, and that was too much. That was I was averaging about 5.5 pounds, like processed.
Wow.
And so they're like,
you're at like 6 weeks, I think, right?
Yeah, I went too far. And like it's such a first world problem. We have this. No, I'll tell you the first world problem, right? So we have this air fryer that also does rotisserie, and we've used it for store-bought chicken before. And then when we did our own meat birds, they're too big. They don't fit in the air fryer, like rotisserie things, so we can't even use it. Yeah. And so I talked to a buddy of mine who also does meat birds or has done them in the past. And I was telling him, how much feed I ended up giving them and what the weight was. And he goes, that's actually like a really good like feed conversion ratio that you did. I was like, I didn't do anything. I just fed them like as much as they wanted to eat.
I've had those moments. And it's just, it kind of works out and you're like, okay, I'm not going to argue.
Yeah, but we didn't do it again this year. We just had too much going on this year that we didn't.
And I'm the same way. Like I looked at those last year, 2021, after the what was it? See, COVID 2020. It was either 2020 or 21, or maybe been both of them. That I was like, I'm going to do meat birds. I'm going to get 75, and I'm going to do meat birds. And I'm like, don't do it, Jeremy. Don't do it. That's you don't have the time, the space. You get too much going on. Just say no. And I said no, thankfully, to that one. But I want to. Like that's in my line of sights. I want to do meat birds.
Put that feather in your cap.
I do. I want to get the Premier One nets, and I want to move them around the yard. But I'm like, I don't have really that big of a yard to move. I don't have that much space to move them, unfortunately.
Sure. So, what's your coop setup then currently for your laying hens?
So I had.
You said you couldn't let them out anymore, or what?
Right.
So what's the
right?
fix?
Yeah, I learned the hard way. So I had a 4x8 coop that was. It had like 3 nesting boxes in it, and like I could move it. It was heavy, and I could move it around the yard. I tried to move it a little bit to at least get them some grass to graze on and scratch on, but it didn't really work well. But those 6 hens, I lost those, which I need to come back to that in just a second. Actually, you know what? Let's just hit this right now, because this was a massive, massive failure in chickens. I lost 4 of the 6 chickens, and this is one of those things that I hope that somebody listens to this and can like listen and gain this little bit of knowledge. If you're looking at trying to mix birds, don't do it, or do it very, very slowly. Because I had 6 chickens, lost 4, so I had 2 left, and I thought, let me go buy 6 adult chickens. Hopefully these adult chickens will be adult enough, and they'll overpower the 2 that I have. I mean, I separated them for a little bit, but not nearly long enough. And the 2 chickens that I had killed all 6 of the others. Chickens
what?
They're savage. They
Holy
just peck
smokes.
them. They just peck them.
I gotta ask, how did you integrate them?
I had the original 4x8 coop, and I had put it into a new chicken run that I had built, and I can't remember which one I left. I left either the 2 or the 6, and I may have left the 2 in the old chicken coop, and the 6 were in the chicken run. So they were all together. They were just blocked off by chicken wire. And I left, and I don't remember how long I left them. It was like 2 or 3 weeks, but it was not long enough. They pecked them all to death. They didn't eat them. They just pecked them and killed them.
Dang.
It was one of those that I'd go out there and there'd be 2 chickens dead, and I'm thinking, what the heck? And I'm looking at it going, well, did I get sick chickens? Because I bought these from a guy that bred these, and do I need to call him and say, hey man, what's up? And I never did. And after about a week, 2 weeks, it dawned on us that, oh, these chickens are killing all of them. And we had one left, and she was just like traumatized. And she just stood there. She wouldn't move, she wouldn't eat, she wouldn't drink, she wouldn't do anything. And we were like we put her inside, trying to maybe give her some water, nothing. She just died. Terrible. I still to this day feel bad about that. And it was my fault because I didn't integrate them the right way.
I'll tell you how I integrated mine and how I've heard it should be done. Because this was my first time integrating chickens together. Mm-hmm. So I had my 16, and then I had the new 20, and the 20 were also adult. They were all roughly within the same age, and they were partitioned separately. So 16 and the 20, and then I after 5 days, I'm like, I'm done taking care of 2 separate groups of chickens. I am combining them. And so I got up at 2 a.m. and opened up the bigger coop, because I have a smaller coop for the other group. And so I took the new 20 and one by one carried them and put them in the bigger chicken coop. And
a lot of work.
It was a lot of work, but you know what I didn't have was dead chickens.
Yep.
Not to knife in the wound or salt in the wound, dude. But I didn't.
But I learned a valuable lesson there. Don't do it. And so those other 2 chickens, I'm like, sorry guys, y'all ain't gonna cut it, because I'm never gonna get enough eggs out of the 2 of you.
Right.
And so we got out of the chicken business for about 2 years, a year and a half maybe.
That's actually a long time.
17, 18, 19. Well, maybe not quite that long. Maybe a year. But in 2020, when COVID hit, I looked at my wife and I said, and I remember sitting down on the couch and watching 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I looked at my wife and I said, this is the beginning of the end. I mean, this will have ripple effects through our economy.
Sure.
And I said, we need to, and that was when I was very much we have to take this chicken thing, homesteading thing, semi-serious. I mean, we have to, I need to, all these past failures that I've had, now's the time for them to shine and me to figure it out. But so we did. We went and bought 20 chicks from Tractor Supply, and I was all in.
Nice.
And they're what, 22.5 years old now. Now I got a couple I think of freeloaders right now, but that's whatever.
I got about 25 that are freeloaders right now. I'm not getting that many eggs, probably just because it's so dang hot. So
I can't figure out what it is. I've got 2 chickens that are broody, and one's just she's a punk. I mean, even when she's not broody, she's a punk. There's a video I put out there last night of me trying to get an egg. She's just quick, and I'm just
sure.
I had to wear a glove to try to get the eggs, and she still won. I didn't get the eggs. But I have found that the best way to integrate chickens is to have a rooster, and let a hen go broody and integrate them 1 to 2 at a time. I've got 3 right now that have hatched, that are hens.
Nice.
And Mama takes care of them, and they just kind of, Mama protects them, and it's really kind of fun to watch too. Do you have any roosters?
One. I had two, and the second the younger of the two, ended up attacking my son, and so and he
Bye-bye.
did that like when we first got him, he did that, and I thought like the behavior was somewhat corrected, but um, it happened again, and we saw about half of what had happened on like I was at work, my wife was somewhere else, and my mother-in-law was watching our son, and we basically saw the whole thing on the doorbell cam, and it was like traumatic to watch for us. Like we couldn't be there to boot that rooster across the driveway while he's being yeah.
Mine's met my foot a couple times because he attacked me, and he's dumb and he still tries to attack me. Colonel Sanders, he's a white silky, and then the other one was hatched. He was so I guess we've hatched four. So we've got two roosters. So almost every egg that we have is fertilized. That's another thing. I got a whole bunch of crap from people saying, "Well, why would you discard eggs?" Because like if we go on vacation with the deer feeder, the chicken feeder, deer feeder,
Yep.
chicken feeder, whatever you want to call it, we go on vacation. I discard the eggs when I get back, and people all kinds of hate. Well, why would you discard the eggs? They're perfectly fine. They're fertilized. Well, not all of them. I have two roosters and 12 hens. I think they're most likely fertilized.
I eat fertilized eggs. What's the problem with fertilized eggs?
We're just sitting out in the heat for 3-4 days.
Oh,
Hens
okay.
sitting on them.
Sure.
It's just one of those things that I'm not willing to take that. I don't want to crack. I've cracked open a bloody egg before. It's not fun.
Oh, gross. So speaking
it's
of
a
videos,
delicacy in some parts of the world, but not in my house. Not in my house.
I'm about I gotta work on a TikTok video of me like candling eggs and then seeing what's actually like inside or whatever. And the last one made me gag.
What was it? What was in it?
I'll tell you. I was gonna just let the suspense build, but nothing was in it. It was just a bad egg. It was just a old, gross, bad egg, and I don't like smells don't really bother me. I change poopy diapers all the time, and so it just doesn't bother me. But like that smell got me, and I like worked really hard not to throw up in the house. I didn't throw up, and I didn't throw up in the house. So,
have you ever water glassed eggs?
No, it's on my list. Things to learn.
I tried it. I let them sit a little too long.
Oh no.
Yep. They're still in the garage.
How long is too long? Like a year?
18 months.
18 months? Okay.
Yep. 2 years later, they're still sitting in the garage because I'm afraid to dump them out.
When you,
I do not. I don't know what to do with them. I mean, we've got a cliff back here. And I just need to take it out there and just dump it off the cliff. And I'm afraid if I do it in the middle of the summer, it's just going to be awful smell. But I did. I cracked one open one day, thinking, "Hey, let's see how well it holds up." I cracked it open, and I about lost it in the kitchen. I was recording it to do a TikTok, and I was like, "I can't put that out there."
Yeah, you can. That makes it better. Are you kidding? That gets you could see another 2 million views.
Yeah, maybe I should go crack one of them open. I got 90-something of them sitting in there.
Well, there you go. Now you have 97 attempts to make a TikTok video.
Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. it was now so like water glassing. I tried it, and I tried it my first year because I thought, well, I want eggs through the winter, and I was getting about a dozen eggs to 14 eggs a day on average, and my chickens continued to lay through the entire winter. There was never a day that I had less than 4 eggs, and I thought, well, I don't have to water glass eggs then, and so I never opened them up. And then I was like, oh, it's been like a 12 to 16 months. Let's try them out. Nope. This year I may need to water glass some eggs because I'm getting like 2 eggs a day right now. I don't know what's going on. So I don't know
out of your 20 birds?
12. I got 12 now.
12? Okay.
Yeah, I did. I have lost a few. I've had a few that got egg bound. I've tried to resolve that, which I'm not going to go into. It's gross. But no,
egg bound?
Yeah, like where the egg is stuck inside of them and they can't get it out.
I've not heard about that. I haven't heard the term, but I guess I've heard of one of my friends. She had to fix one of her chickens like that, and I don't know if she was successful in doing so. How can you tell? How can you tell they're egg bound?
They will. So they'll start walking around kind of funny. They'll kind of have like this little squat, like they kind of like swell up in the back a little bit, and they get it's just pretty gross. They get lethargic. They don't move around fast. They don't eat a whole lot. They look sick, and you can put a glove on, get some Vaseline, and see if you can try to massage it out, but you're not usually successful. From what I've heard, I've tried it once, and I was like, I tried. And then the other one.
Is it bad to break the egg?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
okay. If it breaks inside of them, it can cause other issues. That's the reading that I've done on it. I've never broken one inside, but I only had the one that I tried, and then I had a couple others, and I'm like, sorry guys. Like, life of a chicken is short, I suppose. I've had a couple of. How many did I have? I had one. So I had a hawk get one. That was rough. And then I had this just happened maybe a month ago. I had a coyote get a couple. So I put a TikTok video out there, and somebody in the comments, some city slicker in the comments says, why don't you free range them? I'm like, well, because I need to protect them. And then that got to me. I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, we have a dog. He marks his territory. I haven't seen any predators in an awful long time. And let me try to free range them again. So I'd let them free range. And I work from home, so I'm home during the day. So I let them free range during the day, put them up at night. And I went out there one day, and I started counting. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing one. And then about a week later, I'm sitting here, and I've got a computer right here with my security cameras up, and I hear them out back making a whole bunch of noise. And I look up just in time to see a coyote dart out of the woods, grab one of them, and dart back. And just the chills that you get. It's just like,
sure,
it's my fault. I didn't protect them. And so they haven't been back out since then. But yeah, we're down to 14. We're down to just sicknesses, egg-bound, hawk, coyotes.
And you said you're getting about 2 eggs a day?
I was getting about 6 to 8 a day. And up until I would just really like the last month, well, since I started free ranging them, when I started free ranging them, they quit laying. And I don't know if they were finding somewhere else to go lay, or
that's my experience.
That's what I expected. And so now that they're locked back up, and they've got a 25 foot by 50 foot chicken run, like they've got plenty of space to run around.
Yeah.
But even once I put them back in, I got 3 eggs. Technically, I got 4 eggs today. I take that back. I got an egg breaker.
Egg breaker.
I swear. I don't know which one it is. I've got some fake eggs that I'm about to put back out there, so they'll pick at the fake eggs. I'm tempted to do that, and then hopefully see if I can break that. But I got 4 with 3, but would have gotten 4 today. But I got 1 egg yesterday. But who knows what's sitting up under the 2 broody hens that are just mean as fire.
Sure. You said your hens are about 2.5?
They are. So that's the other thing is are they starting to, the life cycle of a laying hen gets shorter?
Like up until like 2 years. After 2 years, like they drop like 50% or something. So,
and that's the other thing that I'm kind of expecting is really kind of all of that just combined is probably what's going on. So
sure.
Which means that I need to now look at getting a new flock and having some new birds.
New birds are always exciting and fun, frustrating.
Oh yeah, a lot of work, but it's fun. Like it's rewarding. Like and back to what I was talking about earlier with like growing your own food. Like there's just something rewarding about it. I mean, like raising chickens is a rewarding thing. Like here's the thing for me is I got the chickens strictly for the purpose of I want eggs. And then like you hang out with your chickens, you're like they have personalities. They're like like we don't like name all of them. We don't talk to them and but it's just like they're fun to watch. I joked that when I moved my chickens outside after they were 6 weeks or so, it had gotten warm enough outside. We moved them out to the chicken run, and I would sit here and I would watch them on the security cameras, and it was like watching gin pop in a prison. Them trying to establish their pecking order was the funniest thing. Like you'd have this click over here and this click over here, and then they'd all kind of like it was
Yep.
entertaining, and of course we feed we feed them regular chicken feed, but then I give them weeds from the yard. I mean they'll eat anything that you give them.
Yeah.
Except
their actual food.
Right.
At least for me, I got like a mix of stuff or whatever, and I'm like fermenting the feed. And
I need to do that.
They will not eat the peas that are in there. Like the peas were more expensive than the rest of the like bags of feed so like I bought. It was like I got oats, barley, and peas. And the peas were more expensive by like 30% or whatever, and it's like, you little a-holes, why are you not eating? Like, I did this for you.
I was like, come on, man, eat it. Just at least make me feel good about it.
Right. I mean, so I just have like all these peas, just like dried peas, just all over the chicken run. And
yeah. We throw all of like our kitchen scraps out there.
Same.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that do composting, but we compost a little bit, but everything that we don't eat goes to the chickens, except for chicken. I'm weirded out by that. I mean, they'll eat it.
See, they love it. Yeah,
they do. Like, but I don't know. I can't get past that one.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thing that you're hung up on.
I know. It's so dumb. Like there's something like inside of me, like.
Oh yeah, it seems weird, but they like it, so whatever.
I know. Now, like they'll eat, like if we have like steak or pork and it leftovers, and it's like, this has been in the refrigerator for 4 or 5 days. I'm not going to eat this. And they tear it up. They love meat. They love bread.
Mm-hmm.
I throw okra out there that gets too long because it's no good once it's, if you let it sit on the plant for too long and it's, 8-inch.
I've actually never had okra, so.
What?
Yeah.
You've never had okra?
I don't think so.
It's so good. So
let's talk about. I think we've done enough BSing.
All right, number 1.
No. Forget about the numbers. We're skipping to number 10.
Oh gosh.
So tell me more about like your system. So you've got your chickens and you have raised beds. If I remember, you said
I do have raised beds. And so
do those two like connect or integrate, or what do you have in your raised beds?
So
I've got maximize your yields.
Yeah, so we've got okra, we've got peppers, we've got beans. We got a ton of beans. I don't know if you can, I think those are all beans. Yeah, there's like 3 shelves of green beans, different types of green beans. So we've got a ton of green beans, tomatoes, cucumbers. And then I ended up doing a late planting of tomatoes and cucumbers off to the side that are not in a raised bed. So everything that I just mentioned are in raised beds. And I had so much success with the raised beds. This is the first year that I've done, I take that back. I did raised beds years ago and it was an utter failure. But this is the first year that I've really tried doing the raised beds and been successful at it. And I think I mentioned this earlier, much more successful than my brother-in-law's property down the road with the same plants. I mean, I grew all of my plants from seed, and I took half of them to his house and half of them down here, and we see what does better. And the raised beds by far, but I have done better. But I did. Are you familiar with hugelkultur?
Mm-hmm.
So hugelkultur style, filling of the beds, because I didn't want to go buy 100 square feet or in meters of topsoil or compost from the store. So I did the layer of decomposing, sticks and wood and logs on the bottom, some leaves and some decomposed chicken manure. And and then just some topsoil and compost on top of that. And those raised beds have done so much better than I ever thought they would. And then a layer of wood chips on top of that, which wood chips are magic if you can get your hands on them.
Absolutely. I'm gonna say something for the permaculture Nazis out there, because I'm sure you just pissed off a bunch of people.
I love doing that. It's fun. I do it every day on TikTok.
People will tear you apart saying that that's not Hugo culture. That's lasagna gardening.
It's what?
Lasagna gardening.
Lasagna. Yeah.
Now,
Hugo culture is, yes, but it's the same.
It's the principle's the same. But you know who Paul Wheaton is?
Yep.
So I've been to his place.
Oh wow.
And he's like, he did his Hugo culture mounds, like the actual mounds, right? Like the steep 9 foot tall, like that's technically Hugo culture.
Right. And it's made for, and it's really intended to help support like perennial trees and shrubs, and it's yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
Yeah, but I use the term because it's the ingredients that we've put in there. But yeah, yes, lasagna. Yeah, I'm sure that I absolutely pissed off some permaculture Nazis, and that's okay. Because here's the thing: I don't know everything there is to know about permaculture. I love permaculture.
Neither do they.
That's the man that gets me. People that think that they know everything about a topic. If there's always more to learn.
Mm-hmm.
Always learn, and I think the moment that somebody thinks that they've got it all figured out, that's the person you need to quit listening to. But permaculture, I love it. Like I think it's great. I think it is truly what is sustainable.
How did you get into it?
How did I get into it? And let's back up just a little bit. That my yard is not my backyard is not a permaculture food forest. It's the goal. I want to get there.
Same,
but we are not there. Not by a long shot. For the first few years, we wanted a yard for the kids to play in and all that kind of stuff. And now it's like, I wish we had then. So now we had this. But anyway, there's no better time than now to plan something to get started. So I think I stumbled across Justin Rhodes one day. And then I ended up finding Jeff Lawton, 5 Acres of Abundance. Have you seen that documentary?
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's really good. He built 5 acres. He bought a 5-acre property, turned it into this massive permaculture homestead, and then just sold it. I'm like, you put all this time and you just sold it. But that his game is to teach people. So like it did its job. And he brought people in to help build it, and then he sold it to a lady that lives on it, and there's a tour of it. And it's amazing. So Jeff Lawton, Paul Wheaton, what's the other guy's name? Joel Salatin. I've followed all those guys for several years, and I don't remember at what point I just stumbled across it. And I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. You mean we can work with nature instead of against it? And it's going to give us better yields, and it's better for the environment, and that's brilliant. Why in the world does not everybody else do this?
Right.
And look, I mean, big ag is necessary to feed the world right now, I think. But if more people can move into permaculture and grow their own food, we can offset the need for big ag.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's key, but it's a challenge. There's a lot to learn to it. When did you get into it? When did you start learning about it?
Oh, geez, probably like I didn't really start actually getting into it. Like, I guess I did learning in like 2015, 2016 through like the Survival Podcast. I don't know if you listen to.
Oh, hold on. Jack Spirko.
Yes.
Yep. I listened to his podcast daily for a couple of years.
Same. Do you still?
I don't.
Oh,
well,
okay.
So I would. All right. So I don't drive anymore for work. Like I work.
Okay.
I've worked from home for several years.
Sure.
Used to, I had a 25, 30 minute, 45 minute commute every day. and so I would listen to the podcasts then. So I don't anymore, but I have pulled this podcast up a couple times, and every time I've pulled one up, it's a TSPC rewind, and I'm like, I don't want to watch it. I don't want to listen to rewind. I want to.
Sometimes those are still good, but sometimes
no, they are. But
yep.
but I watched a lot of them. He had a lot of good people on there, and so yeah, and that may be. Now that I think about it, that may be where I got the idea for permaculture.
That's funny. Because we were talking about preparedness. I'm like, damn, he sounds a lot like he listens to Jack Spirko.
I did. And I, so, oh gosh, man, you're ringing some memories here. So that really is kind of how I kind of started down that path, I think, because about mid 2010, 2013, 14, 15, I started kind of getting into that like preparedness, survival. And I was like, what if I could find a podcast on survivalism? Like that'd be great. And I found Jack's the survival podcast, and he brought on some of these guys that talked about permaculture. So that is exactly where I got it from. I'm glad you reminded me.
That's really funny.
I love it.
I think I found it the exact same way too, and I don't even remember why I had a bug like on wanting to learn about survivalism. I was just like, because I was in my early 20s or whatever, and so like I just not something you think about really living at home. And so I don't know, I found someone suggested it on Reddit of all places, and so like I gave it a listen, and not gonna lie, first time I listened I hated it, but I was like, all right, I'll give it another shot, and then I just been like listening ever since.
I had to get through about 2 or 3 episodes, and then I was like, okay, there's value in this, and I like it and I enjoy it. But then there came a point where I was like, okay, every one of these is very, very long, and I got to where like there were certain ones that I liked, and like I look at the title, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to like that. I won't listen to that one. But there was a lot of valuable information that he provided. So he's still doing these daily?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yep. He's up to like 3,100 episodes now. Yeah, I know.
I mean, good for him though. I mean, he's got a big following.
Yeah.
I saw him at one point on I don't remember whose show it was, but he was on some like major news outlet show at one point years ago. So I mean, he's done well.
He said he's been on Glenn Beck, and I'm not sure if that's who you're talking about.
It's not, but who is it? I'm not surprised by that, but there was one more. It was somebody else that I was thinking of.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, he absolutely is the person that turned me on to permaculture, and then I started into learning about Jeff Lawton and followed those guys. And I wanted to do it. I wanted to get my PDC, but it was just so expensive, and we didn't have the money at the time. And I'm like, I don't really have to have the certificate. You can learn all of this stuff online. In fact, there's a couple of books that I've got back there on permaculture that talk about principles, and then how to put these principles into practice. And the books are like $120 for the set. Like that's a whole lot cheaper than a PDC.
Yeah.
So so it's I think that's the most sustainable way to grow our food, but it's difficult, and it's not just companion planting. So a lot of people are like, oh, permaculture is just companion planting and mixing things here and there, and that's a little more than that. But
like there's so many factors. Like you got to really be in tune with the property in order to do it right, I'd say.
Yep. One of the most valuable things that Jack Spirko said that I remember, or that I found valuable, was he said, when you buy a new property, don't go plant anything. Observe it for a year.
Right.
See where the dew sets. See where the sun sets. See where how the sun shifts on the property, and observe it for an entire year. Make notes, and then plant stuff. I'm like, oh, that makes sense, because you have to be in tune with nature. You have to observe nature, and you have to get that feedback.
Right.
Which sounds weird, but I mean, there's definitely like feedback that nature can give you.
No, it's not weird at all. It's telling you what it needs. You just have to listen.
Yep. You got to be
And
able
like,
to observe it and notice what it's, because it's not going to speak your language. It's not going to tell you, but it gives you those little feedback. You just got to know what to look for.
right. Yeah.
We'll get there one day.
Yep. Same. It's, we'll talk about it later. So we talked about a couple of things that worked well, and we talked about a lot of things that didn't work well. What's been the biggest challenge in homesteading?
Yeah. Comparing yourself to someone else. Looking what someone else has done and say, I'm not good enough. Thinking like I'm not, or thinking I have to do more. I have to do more. I've got to have this big, massive homestead, because I think that's what people start to think, and that's not really where you need to start. That's not where you don't need to compare yourself to someone else, and you need to start small, start where you can, and start with what you know how to do, and then gradually expand it. And me, I think I'm all in. I want to do it all. I want to do it all. And ultimately, you do too much, and then you've overdone it and you fail. That's been a big challenge. Even just like something simple as knowing when to plant stuff too. That's harder than a lot of people realize and give credit for.
I agree.
And when to harvest stuff and when to save seeds. And like I've got, in fact, I pulled this one down. Like this book right here, the Seed to Seed. Like this is like how to everything, all kinds of seeds, like when to harvest them. Like learning that stuff is challenging. That has been challenging.
Like when you get like red pilled into gardening, it's like a whole world you had no idea existed, in like all the skills and underlying skills and sub skills of those underlying skills that
Yeah.
like, I mean, you could go 100 layers deep and still not get it all.
You can't. And I think, and which kind of brings me back to something else that I was thinking about. With homesteading, people think if you're homesteading, you're completely self-sufficient. You don't have any outside inputs. You don't have to go to the grocery store. Well, that's not true at all. I don't know of anyone that is 100% self-sufficient. It's like you would have to be the master jack of all trades to be able to do that.
I agree.
So many things. I do think that you can build small communities, which is what I would love, to see more of. Is you've got a small rural community of small homesteads, and this homestead does this, and this one does this, and this one, and you all barter like these old micro communities. I would love to see that. I think that's where you can be really successful and be really self-sufficient as a community, a commune. I think you mentioned that earlier.
In a negative sense, yes.
Right. Yeah, that one's not a negative sense. This is let's build a community that's self-sufficient. Definitely would be beneficial.
I don't know where it is, like in your groups that you look at or whatever, but in the groups that like I'm involved in, there's a lot of talk about community, and it's super encouraging to see. Like, hey, we're all gonna make it. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it's as optimistic as it is for you as it is for me.
I think I do have a lot of optimism around it, because I think, and you hit on this earlier, that past generations, they were all preppers and homesteaders, and I think we're seeing a movement back to that to some degree.
Yes.
And so I'm very optimistic about that. And with that comes community. Funny story. One of the TikTok videos that got like a 1.5 million or 2 million views was me building those raised beds. I don't know if you saw that one or not.
I did not.
I took cedar fence pickets and made, so they're 5.5 inches wide by 6 feet long. And so my raised beds are 3 feet wide by 6 feet long, 2 fence pickets on each side, and then half on each end. So they're 3 by 6, and they're about a foot tall. So I made a quick video on that one day while I was building them, and I posted it out there, and it got like 1 million views overnight. And like I think that was my first like 1 million view video. And like that was the day that I go notifications turned off because I can't handle those notifications.
Yep.
I'll die. But so I got that idea from a website that I read like 5 years ago. Her name's Anna White. She's not on TikTok. I saw it on the website. I've seen it in magazines. Like it's, and I just put it out there and made the video. And this Karen comes in and in the comments, you stole this idea from a woman creator and you didn't give her credit. And so I did like a reply video. I'm sorry, you're right. I did take this from a woman creator. Her name is Anna White. She has a website, and this was years ago. But I have no idea what video you're talking about. I haven't seen the video that you're talking about, and legitimately had not seen it. Like this was, I wanted to do raised bed gardens. I was trying to think of a cheap way to do it, and I remembered this website that I looked at years ago, and so I decided I'm going to build some raised bed gardens, and I'm going to document it and put it on TikTok. And so anyway, like the next day, I get this comment on the original video. Hey there, I am the woman creator. I like your beds. and so like we had like a good exchange in the comments, and I'm like, hey woman creator, I'm the thief that stole your idea, blah blah whatever. Like, hey, great minds, I don't know, something like that. Like we were both on the same page of like, we didn't steal each other's idea. Like this idea's been around for years, like decades.
Also, it's not patented or whatever. It's just whatever. It's a raised bed. Like
it was a coincidence that we both put a video out there within like a few weeks of each other. But it's also like the beginning of spring. People are gardening. So anyway. This lady's name is Tara. And so it's really funny to see how it all kind of connected back together because Karen came in, called me out. Tara, the woman creator, came in, commented. And then I found out that she had actually developed an app called Farmish. And so so we're actually we're friends on TikTok and we, comment on each other's stuff. I've pushed some of her stuff out, before to promote Farmish, but Farmish, there's a very long way to get to this, but Farmish is an app where like I can buy and sell from other people. I can buy from other people or sell to other people. If I have an excess of eggs, I can put them out there for $3 or $4, $5 a dozen, and do a public meetup, and like that is going to be how we bring the gardening community together. The you and me and the other people that aren't farmers but have an excess.
Sure. Instead
of just throwing it away, we are composting. Which I mean, I hope that we're not just throwing it away, but we can also share with other people and profit off of that, and it's the whole community. So that I'm very optimistic about that kind of thing.
Nice.
Sorry, that sounds a very long way to get there, but
no, that ties into the next part. Is what's the best part about homesteading? Is it that community?
The community. That's I hadn't thought about that. Sadly, I haven't thought about that. But you're right. You're right. That has got to be one of the best parts. Is building community with people. And we go down to our local farmers market, and we actually sell T-shirts. We have a apparel company. I wear these shirts all the time, but
nice
Pure Bama apparel. But we sell these at our local farmers market. But I've met so many local farmers down there, and so it all ties together. And so like I buy from them. I don't sell anything because I don't have an abundance of things to sell at the moment. I hope to next year, but I buy from local farmers and support them. And so yeah, the community is absolutely one of the I think the best parts about it. But knowing where your food came from. I hate the idea, and we still eat stuff. We still buy stuff from the grocery store that's been sprayed with chemicals. But I hate that. And it's a transition to get off that and to grow your own and to be, healthier with that. But that is a huge benefit. It's like knowing what you eat. Think about like a family, for example. Like I look at, I keep coming back to Justin Rose, but he and his family are out there.
Well, you two kind of look alike, so it makes sense.
I did actually. I did have somebody ask me one day, "Are you by chance related to Justin Rose?" And I was like, "No, I'm not, but I would love to meet him one day. I would love to meet Justin one day." I don't know where he's at. I don't know where his farm, his homestead's at, but
North Carolina, I want to say.
I was thinking it was kind of the East Coast somewhere, yeah, North South Carolina. But I did have somebody ask me that one day, which was funny. Like, it kind of made my day a little bit. But where was I going with that? Oh yeah, family bonds. Like that's like he and the family are out there gardening. Like,
Yeah.
my son comes out and helps. My wife comes out and helps. And in the middle of July, she's looking at me like, "Why in the world are we doing this? It's hot out here." I know, but we're having a good time, aren't we?
Yep. Yeah.
But she's doing not all of it, but she's doing most of our canning. And like, she was very apprehensive about that to begin with. And it's like, she's learned how to can, which it's one of those skills that you're scared about it to begin with, but it's like, oh, I got this. This isn't that hard. I can do this. And I don't know, like it's created a bond too. You kind of bond around homesteading.
Yeah. I mean, so to like talk about like community and like bonding around homesteading, like just talking to people about homesteading, gardening, farming, literally whatever it is they're doing to produce food, just talking to them has opened so many doors for me. Like, I like get handed food. Like I was at a customer's house the other day. Like, we were wiring up his new sheep barn, and we were just like talking. He's also got like cows in like his 400 acres or whatever he's got, and he's got like, he's talking about like his Wagyu beef, and he's blah 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 blah. And we get back, like, because I was hooking up some waterers, and we get back to the house. He goes to the freezer and hands me 2 packages of Wagyu beef. And I was like, "What do you want for this? Like, I'm paying you for this." He's like, "No, you're not." I was like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I don't have a story to top that one, but like, down at our local farmers market, there's a guy who very much thinks like me. He and I are very much on the same page with what we believe, from a homesteading point of view, from a prepping point of view, from what's going on in the world. And he's in his 60s, so he's an older gentleman, but older than I am, and but like, knowing him has opened up a lot of doors too. Like, I go down to the farm, and he's like, hey Jeremy, here's some tomatoes. Like, these are the cold tomatoes. Like, I can't sell these, but I'm like, we'll eat them. We'll cut the bad spots off and we'll eat them. We'll give the rest to the chickens. We'll compost it. Or I'm just going to take the seeds out and save the seeds, and I'm going to replant your tomatoes next year so I don't have to buy from you next year. Which we haven't bought tomatoes. We haven't had to buy tomatoes, but his tomatoes are phenomenal. Cherokee purple. Have you ever had Cherokee purple tomatoes?
This is going to be sacrilege. I don't like the taste of tomatoes.
All right, where's the end call button?
I just they just don't taste that good to me.
No, I like them with salt and pepper. I like them on a sandwich. I like them on a burger. By themselves, I don't usually eat them. Now, my wife, she will eat a tomato. She will slice a tomato, put some salt and pepper on it, and eat it all day long.
My wife just eats them right out of the garden. So,
yeah, I mean,
I'd make my own ketchup. Maybe I'd try making my own ketchup.
Do you like spaghetti?
Yeah,
spaghetti sauce. There you go.
Well, yeah, I like salsa. I like spaghetti sauce.
Salsa. And that's what, like, we'll take tomatoes, the peppers, like, and we'll make our own salsa with cans. Oh, it's so good. So good. Just got to learn to make my own chips. That's
my own chips.
Probably not going to happen. I'm not going to survive the apocalypse without my chips and salsa.
You could just get some pork ears or pork rinds or something like that.
There you go.
Just pretend they're chips.
That's right. That's a good idea. Yeah, close enough.
Close enough for the apocalypse.
That's right. Yeah, that's going to be the least of my concerns.
And look, where are my chips? You're your Woody Harrelson moment is chips in the apocalypse.
Oh man!
Not all this salsa. I have no chips. It's the worst.
Yeah. Oh gosh, that movie. Are you talking about
Zombieland.
Yeah, it's so dumb. It's so funny.
It
I love
was
that
dumb
movie.
and funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're almost through our questions. Almost. This is stuff that you want to talk about, so don't blame me.
I'm not blaming. Hey, look, we got. Hey, look, it is. We're what, hour and a half in. We're
Yeah.
good. We're good.
Uh,
I told my wife I'd be about an hour, hour and a half. If I'm 2.5, 3 hours, she'll be all right.
So how do you create a sustainable garden?
How do me personally, or what? What is as ideally? What do you?
Let me ask this again. You in your something specific you'd like to talk about, you said sustainable gardening. So what does that
Okay.
mean, and how do
So
you do it?
yeah, okay, fair enough. So to say that we have a sustainable garden would be, again, kind of like the homesteading thing. Like we're not completely sustainable. We're on a journey to get there, and I think that's everybody's going to be at a different point in their journey and having some type of sustainable garden. I think
Yes.
I think for me though, like it's the no waste, it's low external inputs. So not having to go buy fertilizer and put fertilizer in the ground. I mean, make your own compost. I've got chickens, so I clean out the chicken coop, and I do deep bedding. So I only clean it out once or twice a year.
Same.
Um, it's too much work to clean it out over and over and over, and I think it's better. But so I clean that out, and you add that to your compost. Like so, there's my fertilizer. There's my nitrogen source. So yeah, I mean, no waste, low inputs, uh, and even like turning your outputs into inputs. So like if we're going to cut the ends off of the cucumbers, if we're going to cut the tips off of our okra, if we're going to have bad spots in tomatoes, I mean, most people would just throw that stuff in the trash can. Well, compost it. Give it to the chickens. The chickens give me eggs. When I crack the eggs, I take the eggshells, I either compost. Actually, I feed them back to the chickens because chickens love eggs. I mean, we have a chicken bucket on our counter, and we empty it once a day. Take it out and just throw it out in the chicken coop. Leftovers. If we eat out, we had pizza, and we had leftover pizza. And I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to give it to the chickens. I mean, there's no waste. There's very little waste, and I think like no chemicals. We don't spray our garden. I think what was I can't remember who said this, but somebody was growing an apple tree, and they didn't prune their apple tree. They let it get massive, like 20 feet tall. And somebody asked the guy, how do you harvest the apples at the top? And the guy looked at him and said, if you think that all of the apples on this tree are for me, you've missed the point. The apples at the top are for the birds. The ones down below are for me.
Sure.
And it's sharing, and I don't remember where I was going with that.
Well, that's like return a surplus in permaculture.
Yeah. Maybe that's where I was going. Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with that principle.
I got you.
So I mean, I think that like sustainable is not having to have inputs for you. I mean, you create your own inputs, and you don't have any outputs, or you use all of your outputs as other inputs. If you have harvest meat birds, you've got the chicken bones left over. You boil them down. You cook them down in the beef or the chicken broth or bone broth, and then you take what's left and you crumble it up and you put it in your compost. I mean, like you feed it back to the chickens if you want. They'll eat it too. I mean, it's just no waste and not relying on all those external inputs.
Didn't Bill Mollison say something like pollution is anything like any? Oh man, I'm gonna butcher this.
It's all right. I've butchered a lot tonight. Okay.
Like, is some sort of waste product that doesn't have a use, or it goes unused, or something like that. So like chicken bones or whatever. Like, if they don't get used for something, technically that's considered like a pollution.
Sure. Yeah. I don't. It sounds vaguely familiar.
I'm also ruining it. So
Yeah, but it's well, and not so much like a pollution, like oh we're burning a hole in the ozone, but it's a waste. Like why would you not use it if you can use it? Let it.
right.
I mean, so it goes into a landfill and it decomposes in a landfill. You've wasted a perfectly good resource.
Yes. Like
Um,
of all the bones of chicken, pork, beef, all the things I've thrown to the chickens, like you could do a lot of fossil hunting in the chicken run, I bet. But like what am I do I leave them in there because it's like a like source of calcium for the soil or something? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. We we found we just found a rib one day out in the chicken coop. Like I don't even know how I got it. Like we didn't have ribs. It just like this rib, but it was out there, and I'm like, we'll just leave it. It'll decompose eventually. But
Yeah.
like it kept getting moved around. Like I'm like, what is moving this rib? And it was like it was a decent sized rib.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, we left it out there, and just it'll decompose. I don't consider that waste. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're not using it to its full potential. So is that considered waste if you're not using it to its full potential?
Maybe. But like when I probably in like either in the fall or the spring, I like rake up a bunch of the well, first I like clean up the chicken coop, just get it all and make like a big pile and wet it down to um let it sit for a couple months so it turns into nice rich compost.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll leave all those bones in there, and then those bones end up in the raised beds, and so
You get your
like
calcium
those
source.
yeah. But the other thing I thought of was like, well, if I wanted to kind of speed up that process, maybe I could like collect all the
Yeah.
bones and like throw it in like the blender and like pulse it to like break them up and turn it into powder. I don't know.
So one thing, and we don't do this, and I want we need to. I want to, and we just is to collect. You know, when you eat chicken or pork or whatever, keep the bone. Like we'll take like a ham bone or something. We'll throw it in the freezer because we'll use that in like beans or something. But any of these bones that you have left over, put them in a bag, throw them in the freezer, and when you've got enough, put them in a crock pot for 24 hours, cook them down, make your own beef broth or chicken broth, bone broth, and then put that, can it, you can pressure can that, and then what's left will just be brittle bones. You can crumble
Right.
that up, and then that's your calcium source. Throw it into the garden.
Sure.
That's what I want to do. We don't do it. We need to. We don't eat. We don't eat like when we get chicken. I mean, because we buy chicken at the store. We don't. I don't do meat birds. Again, I want to. We're going to get there, but most of what we buy doesn't is boneless already, so there's not a whole lot
Sure.
of that. But
Gotcha.
next year, hopefully we'll do meat birds next year, and then I'll have plenty of chicken bones and make my own bone broth, and we'll see.
Pretty tasty.
Yeah.
Um, we already kind of covered this a little bit, but why is prep? Wow. Let's start over. Why is prepping important?
Yeah, I think so. The Most people hear prepper or prepping, and they think, oh, zombie apocalypse, and that's like been the running joke because um, we had like rice and beans and some MRE, not true MREs, but MRE style
Yeah.
bags of food, and my wife always joked that that's our zombie food. I'm like, ha ha ha, it's not funny. It's funny, but it was funny the first time. It's not this time. But
Yeah.
that's been like the running joke that like it's our zombie food. And like people think of prepper and that's what they think. Oh, they're afraid of the zombie apocalypse. The world's going to collapse, going to come to an end. And while maybe not the zombie part, but like you look at economic collapse, you look at we talked about earlier EMPs and CMEs. They could potentially happen. Uh, like those are like prepping for big catastrophic events is key. That's not key. It's one aspect of prepping,
Right.
but I think prepping more for the more plausible things is more important, like losing a job.
I agree.
And if you can, or what about a sickness, a family sickness, a terminal illness,
Getting hurt.
short-term disability, yeah, or long-term disability, absolutely. Prepping for those things is probably more important. And if you've prepped for those things, you're probably going to be okay for the big catastrophic things too. So prepping is I don't know, man. There's just something about it, like not being prepared. I have anxiety over it. If I don't, most people have 2 weeks of food in their house. I mean, think about COVID. 2 weeks to flatten the curve. We shut down everything in the country. Store shelves. I mean, it's hard to get stuff. You couldn't go shopping. I mean, like that's a very near and close thing that prepping was. I mean, look at the people in. You said you're in Montana, right?
Yep.
I heard of people like in Montana and Utah that just fled to the hills. Like they're like, nope, we're out. COVID's here. Yeah, we're enacting our plan.
Yeah.
So I think I'm trying to think if there's really any other reason. I mean, economy, big catastrophic things, job loss, natural disasters. I mean,
oh yeah, that's a big one.
I mean,
I think why people don't do it is because it forces them to think about like their own mortality,
sure,
like or vulnerabilities, and that's uncomfortable.
Well, it is, but that's the thing is there was a saying that I heard: "There's no reason to be prepared. There's no reason to be scared if you're prepared." Like it's.
Yep.
I think somebody had said that on TikTok, and I was like, "Oh, that makes sense." If you are prepared and have 6 months of basic necessities, then you know that you've got 6 months of margin. Margin in life is good in any circumstance in life. Margin financially, with your time,
yes,
with your food, margin is good. And prepping is just creating margin in your life. That's, I guess, to sum it all up. It's not oh, the world's gonna end, zombies are coming, the CME is gonna happen. It's just I feel better. I sleep better at night, knowing that if I were to lose my job and we couldn't pay our bills or we couldn't buy groceries, then we've got food. We can grow our own now too. That's why it's important.
That's a great segue into telling like people like on how to get started. What would you tell people?
Yeah, and I touched on this just a little bit earlier. Is I think the easiest way to get started is to buy what you already eat. So if you go to the grocery store this week and you're buying a bag of rice and some canned beans and some corn and some canned green beans and some whatever, and that's what you're going to eat for this week. Well, pick a few things, and instead of buying one can or one bag, buy two. Like that's not a big. I mean, a can of beans or green beans, what, $1, maybe less than that. I don't know. I haven't bought green beans in a long time. But buy two. It's not a huge investment, and create essentially your own grocery store in your house. And it will take time, and before you know it, you'll have 2, 3, 4 weeks of food. You'll have 6 months of food, and you just got to rotate through those things. Don't let it expire. Rotate through it. That's a very easy and practical way to start for someone who wants to just purely prep. There's more things you can do. Like we do rice, and we have dried beans, rice, oatmeal. We have all of that in Mylar bags and with oxygen absorbers, and that stuff has a 10 to 20 year shelf life. That is our true emergency food. Like that's in bins. That's if we ever had to like leave, we grab those bins, we throw them, and we're out. Or we would hunker down and stay here. We've got, I mean, rice and beans aren't going to be delicious, but it will keep us alive. And
it's calories.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of a more, not advanced, but that's like a next step. But more important than that is being able to grow your own. Like put something in the ground. Anything, like start small. That is, I think, the ultimate prep is being self-sufficient. are somewhat self-sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
And again, whether it's a tomato plant, a cucumber, some okra, some beans. Beans are good. Uh, dense potatoes. Potatoes. Grow some potatoes. They're so easy. They're so easy. You know, that would be what I would say the next step. So first step would be buy two when you would buy one. Buy what you already eat and start to develop depth in your pantry. Then move into some more of the long-term storage, and then gardening, or maybe even do the gardening before the long-term stuff. But any of those are good places to start. And before you know it, you'll have weeks and months of food, and you'll have people knocking on your door when the apocalypse hits. That's
You can
another
tell
thing.
them no.
You can, but I don't want I think that's a challenge. Like that's something that I struggle
Right.
with, because I met a guy and I like this guy, and we were talking about some prepping, and he goes, "Well, I got a bunch of ammo. I'll just go take it." I'm thinking that's really not the right mentality, because if you try to take it from the wrong person, that you may eat those words. But you don't want to do that. Like, there's no reason to have to take from somebody else. We have we almost like prep for our family too. Like we don't have tons of excess, but like if someone knocks on our door, we have things in small bags. Here's 8 cups of rice and 8 cups of beans, or 4 cups of beans, and like this will get you through for a week. Here's something. Don't come back. I'm just kidding. But like there is the point of being able to share
Yes.
and not just say no. I'm going to hold you at gunpoint, not let you take any of my food. That's not what I want to be.
Right. You don't really want to be in that situation. This is
I'd much rather share just a little bit.
right. Yeah, you can have the rice and beans, the stuff that I didn't really want anyways.
Right. The canned goods I'm keeping, or the cans veggies from the garden. We're keeping those, but I'll give you some
Right.
rice.
And
Here's
the thing about like you said, the rice and beans are a little bit more advanced, and the reason for that is if you can't get through the first week or two, you don't need to even worry about a year down the road, or
Bingo.
5 or 10. Like, what about tomorrow?
Right.
If
You're
you couldn't
absolutely
go
right.
to the store today or tomorrow, what are you going to do?
Yep. And then that's buy two instead of one, and again, before you know it, you've got instead of only 2 weeks of food in your house, you've got 4 weeks of food in your house, and it doesn't take. I mean, and in reality, if you think about it, if you were to implement that principle, you would have 4 weeks of stored food in a matter of a couple of weeks,
Mm-hmm.
a month, and it's really not. For some people, it would be a stretch, because some people are more strapped financially, especially these days with inflation like it is. Um, but that's a good place to start. And if, really, if you want to start cheap, put something in the ground. I mean, it's kind of late right now. It's August, but you can do fall gardens. You can grow greens through the winter. It's a way to supplement the rice and beans. Get you some.
And if you want to cheat, like if you want a shortcut, because people are all about shortcuts,
Mm-hmm.
help your neighbor with their garden.
Yeah,
They'll probably let you take home a plastic bag full of whatever.
that actually is a very, very good idea. If you can, I mean, find a neighbor that gardens or a friend that gardens, and help them. I had so many people say, "Well, I live in an apartment. I can't have a garden." What do you do? Well, you can patio garden, you can container garden, but find a friend or a family member that has a house and a yard. Garden at their house. Come over and
Community gardens are big too.
Yep, start one. Find you a church or a community center,
Yeah.
and a lot of those places are school, and say like, "Hey, can we come set up a community garden?" And those are good and easy ways to get into gardening if you live inside a city or an apartment and you don't have a yard.
Right.
That's I hear that a lot, and that's which what I want to say is get out of the city, but
Right.
that's not practical for everyone.
What they need to do, which is more practical, is stop making excuses. If you really look, if you want to do it, just find a way to start doing it. If you don't want to do it, just say you don't want to do it and stop making excuses.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
That's fine.
You're right. If you really want to do it. Now, I get that there are obstacles to overcome, but if you really want to do something, you'll find a way to do it.
Yep. Just be honest. It's fine. You don't have to like tomatoes and grow them. If you want to not do it at all, but when stuff gets getting hard, you can't complain about it either. So
don't knock on my door. Yeah.
Remember when I told you should start a garden? You said no, that's hard and stupid because I can just go to the store and get a tomato for $2 instead of growing it for 6 weeks or however long a tomato takes. I don't even know. Seems like forever. Well, so I had a post on social media a while back. It was someone was buying 2 big beef tomatoes, and it was something I don't know, $15 or $8. I don't know, for two tomatoes. And I was
big tomatoes. Wow.
And I was like, homesteading doesn't seem so dumb now, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. So that reminds me of one thing. People always talk about, oh, you get free eggs.
Not really.
No, those are the most expensive eggs I've ever had.
But they're also the best, so
they
it's
really
okay.
are. And again, I know.
So good, I'll eat them raw.
I'm gonna have to work myself up to that one. I am.
You know what? When I come visit you, we'll have a raw egg together.
Yeah. On second thought,
we're gonna be out of town whenever you said you're gonna be by.
That's yeah. Yeah. They are expensive eggs, but they are good. And again, I know what's in them. I know what my chickens are fed. I know what's in my food that we grow. Okay, we don't put any chemicals on it, and I don't know. It just feels good. It feels good to be able to be somewhat self-sufficient, and I think that is how we offset the supply chain crisis. The food supply chain crisis is people are going to have to start growing their own, even if it's just a few tomato plants, even if it's just a cucumber vine, even if it's anything. I've had so many people on TikTok this year that have said, I grew my first garden this year because I watched your video.
Damn, that's gotta feel good.
That means more to me than anything that someone can say out there, because that is what we have to be doing, and that is you're growing something, you're stepping out and doing something that you don't know how to do, you're stepping out on a limb, but then you're getting the reward of I grew something, and this to see the look on their face and the pride that they have, and hey, I grew this. This is my first year in a garden. There's one lady that she's she'll post stuff on Instagram, and it's tomatoes and cucumbers, like squash and zucchini, like baskets full. And she's like, I've never gardened before, and I'm like, look at you go. Like, she's so happy about it, and I love seeing that. Like, that is the most rewarding thing, to know that there is there's some people out there that are encouraged enough to grow their own food, to step out and do something that they've never done before.
And that someone you inspired them to start, and then continued to encourage them personally,
yep.
To make that comment, proud of you. That's awesome. Keep going.
And then they are going to inspire someone else, and it's the trickle out effect. And I think we're on the right path in that regard with people. And as we mentioned earlier, the kind of coming back to a homesteading, prepping is kind of coming back in style, if you will. It died in the 70s and the 80s with the microwave.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note about microwaves for a second.
I'm oversimplifying that, but that's what gets stuck in my mind, is it's the microwave killed homesteading.
Okay.
We use our microwave a lot. So.
Okay. I'm glad you glad you answered, because I was like, do you not use a microwave? Because I know a lot of people don't. But
No,
we can get into that. We should probably wrap up. I have chores to finish before I go to bed, and it's late for you too.
well, what time is it where you are?
9:30.
Okay, so it's 10:30 here.
Yeah.
Hey, we should do this again. Like I've enjoyed it.
Same.
If you ever want to hop on and do a live TikTok hour, I don't know if you ever
We could.
And basically just the same format. Let's just talk about homesteading and prepping, and I think I've joined in some of those, and it's fun to watch. And then people can interact too, so those are always fun too. So
yeah, it's like Twitter Spaces. I've done one or two like Twitter Spaces, but that's just audio. It's not video at all. So okay. I've never done a TikTok live. I could try one. That would be cool.
I've done a couple of them. It's difficult when it's just you, because you are.
Oh yeah, it sucks. I hate that.
You are the only
solo
one
anything.
But if there's two people, I think it's you carry on a conversation and people can chime in and ask questions, and it's absolutely a good format.
I thought about how I could turn this into a TikTok live, like while we did it, and I was like, I don't have time to figure that out right now. So maybe another time.
You could do it. I mean, hey, look, let's try one. Let's try one day, just to see how it goes.
Sure. I have notes of stuff that we could talk about, stuff that we didn't get to. So
love it. Love it.
So, is there anything that you want to wrap up on?
Yeah, I think kind of the what you just wrapped up with what would you tell people on how to get started? I mean, I think that really is a good wrap up. Is start small with prepping and gardening and homesteading, and start with whatever you have and whatever you can. It's important to be prepared, not to be terrified or what's the word? Like scared that like something's going to come down and everything's going to collapse. And I mean, like, there's no point in that, but just have a little preparedness, have a little backup.
Frozen by fear. Yeah.
What's that?
Frozen by fear.
Yeah, absolutely. Just do something. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just do something. And, I think we'll be all right. And keep spreading the word. People look at you and think, oh, you're crazy. And then what was in the description that we're something about, we're not proud to be labeled preppers. I don't remember what it said, but it was.
It's not a dirty word.
Yeah, well, there was something that you had read off. It was whatever I had filled out. I can't remember what I even wrote, but
embrace the label of preppers.
Yeah, embrace the label of prepper. People look at you like you're a kook, but are you really? I don't know. I think it's kind of the other way around. If you're not prepared, your head's in the sand.
And you know what? I don't try to talk. Like, if people get it, they get it, and if they don't get it, then they don't get it, and I'll just move on.
Right.
It's just not worth wasting breath.
I will say that my family, like over the years, they've seen a little bit of it, and like they have started to slowly come around and embrace the idea of maybe we should garden, maybe we should have some backup food. Like they're starting to kind of see it. Like, well, maybe Jeremy's not crazy. Maybe there is something.
I mean, he's still crazy, but
maybe he's not as crazy, or maybe just we're crazy with him. I don't know.
We're crazy for not doing this.
Well, man, I appreciate this. I've had a good time. 2 hours.
Yeah, same, man. Me too. Go ahead and plug your stuff.
Yeah. So I'm on TikTok. I created my TikTok channel as just a joke, and it turned into a prepping and homesteading channel with, I think, around like 123,000 right now followers. I set up an Instagram. I know. Hey, look, my son, my son, he goes, one day we were talking about it, and I didn't even tell him that I had it. I was just doing it. I didn't even tell my wife. I just did it. I was just going to do it. And then it turned into something. And I was like, oh, hey, by the way. She's like, what?
Who are you?
Right. My son, he was like, you have a TikTok channel? I do. And he goes, well, how many followers you have? At the time, it was like 75,000. What? You got I know, buddy. I know. I know. I don't get it either, but here we
How
are.
old is he?
He turns 9 next week,
Okay.
or
Nice.
2 weeks. But yeah, I mean, I'm blown away. The following has been insane. It's been humbling. It's been fun, and the fact that many people care anything about what I have to say blows my mind.
Right.
But I'll take it and I'll run with it and I'll keep doing what I'm doing. I have tried to steer away from some of the more controversial things because I've gotten a few check marks and TikTok's very quick to throw those at you. So I've tried to be careful. I did go and set up an Instagram account too, so that if I get banned from TikTok, if I get banned, I'll come back again. But so it's at Do We Like Donuts on TikTok and on Instagram, and I've got a website coming soon. It's not there yet, but it will be in the future. That's all things prepping and homesteading and gardening, kind of along those lines. A free informational kind of thing, but that's down the road. But for now, I'm on TikTok and Instagram.
Awesome, dude. I'll have links to both of those in the show notes, and
Appreciate it.
I appreciate you being here and spending so much time with me. This has been a lot of fun. I'm definitely
I've enjoyed it. It's been
do a live TikTok sometime.
We should. And I knew that I would enjoy this coming in, but it's been a lot more fun than I expected it to be. So thanks for that.
Same. Yeah, I was showing my wife just a couple of TikTok videos of yours last night, and I showed her the deer feeder one, and she's like, "Why are we not doing this?"
It was a moment.
Deer feeders are kind of expensive.
But so yeah, they can be, but the one that I've got's like $88. I bought mine at Academy for $88.
Well, I'm not going to tell her that. She'll kill me for not doing it earlier.
But like, it was a light bulb moment one day, and I don't even know how I came about it. And I'm sure other people have done it, just like the raised garden beds. I'm sure somebody else has done it. I've just never seen it. But we were walking through Academy one day, and I was like, well, there's deer feeders. Why can't I put chicken feed in that? And here we are. And I feed the chickens once every 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice.
Saves so much time. Automatic watering too.
That's another something I'm gonna have to crack. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, well, you're in Montana. You got colder weather than I've got.
But through the summer, when you go through more water,
true,
wouldn't be that.
55-gallon drums and these little chicken cups that I've got, the little watering cups. And PVC.
Yeah.
That's all mine is, but it works. It works for what I've got.
I'm gonna come up with something. I'm just gonna have to stop thinking about how am I gonna do this and just do something.
Just do something.
So, but yeah, dude, we'll keep in touch, and thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. We'll talk soon.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Really fun off the rails discussion with Jeremy. Great guy. Hope to meet up someday. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video. You can listen on Fountain FM podcast player. You'll love it. Gives you Bitcoin for listening. Why wouldn't you love that? Check out our website, farmhoplife.com. You can sign up for our email list or Telegram channel there to be notified when new videos, any reviews, or podcasts are available. We're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, MeWe, and Float. You can email me anytime, matt@farmhoplife.com. Check out our 20 by 23 project where we're going to help out 20 homesteads in the year 2023. I'm always looking for new people to interview. If you want to come on to talk about homesteading, farming, food security, homeschooling, regenerative agriculture, alternative building methods, or something else, hit me up, farmhoplife.com/guest. Go feed yourself.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy, out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana, left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started Farm Hop Life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family trunk and an RV. Send us a message and there